Hi, this video came courtesy of my Discord server because a bunch of people kept asking me to make it in there. The link to that is in the description. You should probably join it because then you can yell at me to do things and I'll probably do them. Okay, bye. I love you. Mwah. This is a build request that I get very, very frequently, mostly by new players. And I never really liked doing it or even considered making one for this because it just sucked before. But now with Bound by Duty, the first tour guardsman build is actually pretty good. So this is just a standard, regular Imperial Guard type of build, which is surprisingly strong now. So, the shovel with Flak, Carapace, Uncanny, and Thrust will give you an answer to pretty much every situation. So it's important to have Uncanny and Thrust because with Uncanny Strike, as you can see, all it takes is Uncanny Strike and a charged up Thrust with the Alt Fire on the shovel, and you can very easily deal with enemies. Like, that almost one-shot the Crusher. Once we start stacking damage from the talent tree, you just start one-shotting Crushers. It's important to note that this middle mark of the shovel, it's kind of just the best one. At least in my opinion anyways. Also, you'll never have to worry about fighting hordes with this, because you can very easily just spam the heavy attack with the occasional push thrown in. This weapon deals with absolutely everything. It has phenomenal armor damage, phenomenal single target damage, one of some of the best horde clear. This has always been one of the best weapons in all of Darktide. So, the Cantrail. This weapon, when Darktide came out during the beta, the Mark 12 version specifically, was like one of the best guns in the game because the plasma gun was pretty terrible. But the Mark 12 is kind of bad now because of its slow fire rate. Well, this has always been a sleeper pick, the Mark 7 or whatever. And this also fits the theme of the build because it's just the standard issue Lasgun that the guard would use anyways. So, this weapon would really benefit a lot from Marksman's Focus. Well, up until now, Marksman's Focus has been kind of unusable dog shit. So if I just show you here, it's got a very quick fire rate, and if you just let me build up Marksman's Focus stacks here for a second, you can see how with just a little bit of help and the new way Marksman's Focus works, you can pretty consistently one-shot just about everything with a headshot. Except for dogs, because dogs are really fucking annoying. But I'll talk about that in a second, because there is ways to do it like that. Also, the specialists that you're the most scared of are bombers and flamers. They're by far the most dangerous. And you can kill these in 2 to 3 body shots pretty consistently. Same with trappers. So even if you don't hit the head, you don't have to worry about it. You'll kill almost anything in the game with one headshot. As you can see, it takes just about one headshot to kill pretty much everything, except for armored gunners. But armored gunners will die with a crit, so, you know, it's very easy to crit with these weapons as well. It also does phenomenal boss damage as well now, because you just don't have to worry about ever losing your stacks. And it's nothing spectacular or out of this world, but that's kind of the vibe of being a guardsman. You know, you just are back in the back line behind cover, just plinging away at the boss. And as long as you're actually hitting the head, you're doing pretty good DPS. So you meet one-shot breakpoints to pretty much everything in the game that matters. You reach two-shot body shot breakpoints to pretty much everything that matters. And that's because Flak, Maniac, Headhunter, Deadly Accurate, and the new Marksman's Focus pretty much enable this gun. So Headhunter is important because you absolutely need to be getting crits with this gun, and Deadly Accurate just like doubles your critical damage almost. It's a pretty insane damage multiplier. You could run Infernus instead of Deadly Accurate, but I really wouldn't do that. I would just stick for the try to hit heads setup like this. I mean, you got to see just now, it's honestly pretty damn effective. Curios are all the same. You want toughness, combat ability regen, toughness, revive speed. Now, for the talent tree, this is where things get a little interesting. Out for Blood gives you 5% toughness on every kill, whether it be from your grenade, your gun, your melee weapon. So this will constantly keep you topped off on toughness no matter what you're killing or how you're killing it. But because the whole vibe of this build is to be shooting a bunch with the Lasgun, you will want to take Exhilarating Takedown for sure this time. Purely because 30% toughness damage reduction is actually a lot and makes you very tanky, because now these stacks only tick down one at a time. Before Bound by Duty, you could build up 3 stacks, and if you ever stop shooting to do anything else, you would just lose all the stacks, and that sucks. But now they tick down one at a time, so you get 21 seconds of some kind of damage reduction, which is honestly pretty impactful. Long shot is absolutely necessary for once in its misbegotten life to enable 2 shots like that. If you don't take long shot, you actually won't 2-shot this, because look, wow, that was a crit. So we do 700 damage and then 600 damage, and like we go 720 into 620. So we're doing just absolutely barely enough damage to kill. So if you aren't getting like the damage bonus from long shot, like that extra 15 or so %, you kind of just can't cleanly 2-shot things. It also just fits with the theme of the build really well. So normal infantry guard guys would use frags, but you absolutely can use cracks or smokes even, though I would really recommend not using smokes for a reason I'll talk about later. So stick to I can't speak. Shredders or cracks. Cracks if you're doing harder content and you require more armor clear. Frags if you are doing basically anything else because of their ability to stun things. Superiority complex for elite damage. Iron Will because you have almost 300 toughness with this build, like 340 when you use the shout. Trench Fighter Drill, you should take these 10% attack speed nodes in almost every build for every character. Field Improv, because the shovel really doesn't need Serrated Blade for literally anything. It, like, doesn't benefit from it at all. And the rest of these down here nodes are pretty bad as well. So you kind of just have to go Field Improv, but Field Improv is really good. It makes it so Medicaid crates heal corruption unless they've taken a full wound's worth of corruption, which is why wound Curios are still terrible. Catch Your Breath is mandatory, but it's whatever. Survivalist clears every other aura in the game, ignoring the fact that these are arguably the 2 worst auras in the entire game. You'd love to take the extra passives here, but not only do they not fit with the build, the type of people interested in playing this kind of build are generally not going to be optimizing their grenade usage anyway. Demo stockpile, so you can use a grenade every 60 seconds. You should just constantly be throwing them. Shout because gold toughness is overpowered. You should shout pretty much on cooldown, and when you do shout, gold toughness makes it so snipers can no longer damage your health, crusher overheads no longer kill you, and pox bursters also no longer damage your health. And it just gives that to your entire team. It also makes it so that if you lose toughness while you have gold toughness active, that gold toughness becomes your new total toughness, which also impacts all of this stuff, because now these start restoring more. This has a bigger bar to affect. This stuff is where you have the most variance. You don't need to take kill zone. You could instead do something like this if you wanted unlimited ammo. With Shock Trooper and Headhunter, you will literally never run out of ammo. You could shoot like the entire game and just never run out of ammo like this. But I think with Survivalist and the huge ammo pool, you really only need like maybe 1 pickup. Because look, 1 ammo pickup is a full magazine. 1 magazine is like, you know, a bunch of kills. And if you look with Survivalist, you get almost 10 bullets back with Survivalist every 2 kills. Or maybe it's 3 kills, I think. Yeah, every 3 kills you get 9 bullets back. Well, it only takes you like, you know, it takes you 3 bullets to shoot. So if you're one-shotting elites and specials, you just, you know, you don't really have ammo problems to begin with, but you could take this if you wanted to. So I like to keep their heads down with this setup, because Lasguns are not the greatest at suppression, as you can see. But what it does do is it does this little, like, stagger shit where it stops them from shooting. This becomes more prevalent with these guys, because it will just straight up stop them from shooting a lot of the time when you're shooting back at them. It's not very good, but, you know, this whole row is a little not the best. You could take 10% toughness damage reduction instead, which is probably going to be better overall, but interrupting any amount of incoming damage is usually going to be best for people that are starting out. But really, you could also go like this, and it would not really be a problem. Anyway, the other side is Demo team gets better the deeper into difficulty you get, but you kind of have to take this to get to tactical awareness, because this tells you how you should be really playing veteran. You should be focused on sniping specials, because this makes your ultimate come back massively faster. And spamming your ultimate is like the strongest thing veteran can be doing. Reciprocity, because when you are in melee, you see how we have that 20% next to that skull? That's a mod that says how much crit chance we have. So reciprocity can give us another 25% crit chance, putting us at 45. So we can get almost every other hit being a crit. And these two 25 toughness nodes, because when you're taking 17 toughness Curios and you're taking another 15% total toughness from the perks, when you're getting like 50, 60% extra toughness, 50 toughness ends up adding like well over 100 toughness to you, which is quite substantial considering you have so much damage reduction. Especially if you take this, you get 10% damage reduction here, 50% here, 30% here, and I think there's another toughness node somewhere on here. I'm probably wrong. But yeah, you can easily get to like, after like diminishing returns and scaling kick in, you easily get like 55, 60% toughness damage reduction, which is honestly really strong. Yeah, I think this is generally just going to be the best way to run this. So you don't really need stuff like agile engagement, because if you're in like sniper, dedicated sniper mode, it's just not like, who cares, you know? You're never going to be like, oh, let me kill a guy and then swap to this and then kill a guy and swap back. That's just not how you're going to play, especially when you're early on into your skill level of this game. Same thing with Skirmisher. You're not going to be like, you know, once you get better at the game, you'll start dropping some of these defense nodes to take extra offense nodes, and you'll start juggling, okay, I got to sprint. Okay, I'm going to sprint, get a kill with this, sprint in to refresh my buffs, to get a kill with this, to reproc these buffs. And you're going to start juggling like 80, 90% extra damage. But that stuff all comes later. That kind of goes against the whole idea of the first tour guardsman. I would absolutely recommend this build. And you know what? Yeah, I would absolutely recommend this build to a complete beginner, because it's just a good starting place. It deals with everything. It encourages you to engage with every single mechanic, and it encourages you to remember, like, oh, I can one or two shot, you know, like, oh, I can two shot this guy to the body, but I have to actually think about how my perks work, and I need to back up a second or like a step to do it, to save ammo. It encourages you to think. There's some slight variance in pathing for your taste. I think this is a really, really, really solid build for a new player. Okay, see you later. Also, join the goddamn server, because that's how this like request came to be. Someone in my Discord server asked me a couple times, and I was like, sure, why not?